Imagine holding a small piece of history could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars, more than gold coins, so rare most collectors. In this video, we're diving deep into the top 3 most valuable US coins that have stunned the world with their unbelievable values, and in some cases, these coins aren't just currency, they're treasures hidden in plain sight. That's right, we're talking about the mysterious and ultra-rare 1971-era UK Elizabeth II Pence coin, a piece of British numismatic history that continues to shock collectors and auction houses to this very day. Imagine digging through your old change, maybe coins tucked away in a drawer, a jar on the shelf, or an inherited collection from your suddenly. You find a coin that looks a little bit different, a little bit off, and your heart skips a beat. What if I told you that one of the most ordinary-looking coins ever minted in Britain coined millions? To understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to go back to the year 1971, a pivotal time in the United Kingdom's history. That was the year of decimalization, when Britain shifted from the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence into the simpler decimal system of 100 new pence, making up £1. For the Royal Mint, this was a colossal task. Millions upon millions of new coins had to be designed, struck, and released into circulation almost overnight. Among those new coins was the 2 new pence piece, showing the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on one side and the princely. So, what makes the 1971-era to new pence so special? First, consider the fact that millions of normal coins were minted. That means the Royal Mint had the process running at full speed, and quality control was sometimes stretched thin. A wrong die here, MIS struck planchette there, and suddenly you've got a coin that was never supposed to exist. Some 1971 to new pence errors have been found struck off-center, where the Queen's portrait or the lettering is shifted so badly it looks almost ghostly. Others show doubling, where the word new pence or the date looks like it was struck twice, producing a shadow-like effect. There are even rare examples where the coin was struck on the wrong metal planchette, making its weight and color completely different from a standard issue. And here's the jaw-dropping part, because so few of these mistakes were made, each surviving specimen is a true rarity. We're not talking about a coin worth a few pounds here and there. We're talking about auction records that soar into the tens of thousands. Imagine holding in your hand a piece of bronze that looks almost ordinary, yet a collector might pay £10,000, £15,000, or even £30,000 to own it. That's the kind of magic that only numismatics, the study of coins, can deliver. One of the rarest types of 1971 errors are the MIS strikes, where the word pence appears with doubling, or where the Queen's profile appears partially missing due to weak striking pressure. These coins can sell for thousands in average condition, and much more when preserved in near-mint state. And then, there are the legendary wrong planchette errors, where instead of being struck in the typical bronze alloy, the coin was accidentally pressed onto a blank intended for another denomination. Imagine a new pence struck on a copper nickel blank, making it a different weight and color. Collectors go wild for such anomalies, and when they surface, the bidding wars are fierce. Now, let's picture the excitement of collectors when one of these coins is discovered. Often, it begins with an innocent person clearing out old change, spotting something odd, and taking it to a dealer or auction house. Suddenly, they learn that their humble coin is not worth 2 pence, but potentially £10,000 or more. Stories like these fuel the mythos of the 1971 error coin. They remind us that treasure can be hiding in plain sight, sitting unnoticed in our homes for decades. Let's talk values more directly. A common circulated 1971 to new pence without any errors might be worth a few pence, maybe up to £1 for a very nice condition piece. But a verified error coin, say a double strike or wrong planchette, has been known to sell for £10,000, sometimes £15,000, and in extraordinary cases, closer to £30,000. Think about that. £30,000 for a coin most people would pass over without a second glance. It almost feels like a lottery ticket, except this ticket is made of metal and has been sitting quietly for 50 years. The 1966 era Washington quarter dollar. Imagine pulling out an old jar of coins, the kind that sits in the back of a cupboard or under a bed for decades. You pour them out onto the table, and among the nickels and dimes, one quarter catches your eye. At first glance, it looks ordinary, just another Washington quarter. But then, something about it seems different. Off-center lettering, a strange shine, or even a double image. You look closer, and suddenly the realization hits you. You might be holding one of the rarest modern American coins. To understand why this coin is so extraordinary, we need to go back to 1965 and 1966, a turning point in U.S. coinage history. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But due to a nationwide silver shortage and rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint made the dramatic decision to remove silver from most circulating coins. Starting in 1965, quarters were struck in a clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper nickel. For the first time since George Washington's profile appeared on the quarter in 1932, the metal changed, and with it, new opportunities for minting mistakes were born. Perhaps the most legendary error for the 1966 quarter are the transitional planchette mistakes. Remember, the mint had just stopped making silver quarters. A few leftover silver plankets from 1964 and earlier may have accidentally been used to strike quarters dated 1965 or 1966. Finding a 1966 quarter struck on a 90% silver planchette is like striking gold, well, silver in this case. These coins weigh more than the standard 5.67 grams of a clad quarter, coming in closer to 6.25 grams, and their color is slightly different. A single verified silver planchette 1966 quarter could sell for $20,000, $27,000, or even $35,000, depending on condition and rarity. What makes the 1966 error quarter so captivating is that these mistakes happened during one of the most scrutinized times in U.S. minting history. The mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins quickly. Mistakes slipped through because speed mattered more than perfection. For collectors today, that means incredible treasures waiting to be discovered. Now, let's talk about values. A normal 1966 quarter in circulated condition is worth just 25 cents. Even in uncirculated state, it's usually only worth a few dollars. But when you add an error into the mix, the story changes completely. Off-center errors from 1966 can bring in hundreds to a few $1,000s. Double die examples, depending on how dramatic the doubling is, can reach into the thousands. But the real jackpot comes from transitional silver plankets and wrong planchette errors. These are the coins that can soar to $20,000, $27,000, or even $35,000 under the right circumstances. Imagine showing up at an auction with one of these coins, watching the bidding climb higher and higher as collectors compete for the chance to own a piece of history. Over the years, auction houses have seen dramatic bidding wars over these coins. Collectors know they may not get another chance to acquire one for years, maybe even decades. Each time a new specimen surfaces, it makes headlines in the numismatic community, sparking renewed excitement and higher values. The trajectory of these prices suggests that a coin worth $20,000 today might easily be worth $35,000 or more tomorrow as demand continues to outpace supply. So, the next time you're flipping through change or searching coin rolls, keep your eyes sharp. Look for doubled letters, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, or unusual weights. Pay attention to the edges. Do you see copper peeking through? Or is it solid silver? That one detail could mean the difference between an ordinary quarter and a $35,000 discovery. The 1969 error Lincoln penny. Picture this. You're at home one evening, sifting through an old jar of coins that's been sitting in the corner for years. Pennies, nickels, dimes, all jumbled together, and you hardly give them a second thought. But then, your fingers stop on a penny that looks just a little bit unusual. You hold it up to the light, and suddenly you notice something odd. The letters seem to have a shadow, almost as if they were stamped twice. Could this ordinary-looking coin be hiding a secret that makes it worth not 1 cent, not even a few $100s? This coin has become one of the legends of modern American numismatics. The 1969 Lincoln penny is already a coin tied to an important era in U.S. history. The 1960s were a time of massive change, politically, socially, and even in the world of money. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation since 1909, first issued to mark the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1969, the coin had already become a beloved symbol of America, with Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse. Now, let's talk about rarity. Nobody knows exactly how many 1969's double-die pennies were struck, but the number is extremely small. Only a handful of verified examples exist, making this one of the true modern rarities of American coinage. It's not a coin you're likely to find in circulation today, but the possibility is always there, which keeps collectors searching every single year. And the values, this is where the excitement really explodes. A regular 1969's penny in circulated condition is worth just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated state, it might fetch $1 or $2. But add that double die error, and suddenly the price tag climbs into the stratosphere. Lower grade examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, while higher grade, sharply struck specimens can command $45,000, $50,000, or even $60,000 at auction. For a 1 cent coin, that kind of value is almost unbelievable. Auction records back this up. Over the years, collectors have paid eye-watering sums to own a 1969's double-die penny. The demand is intense because so few exist, and every time one comes to market, it sparks a bidding war. Each sale seems to push the value higher, as collectors recognize just how rare and important this coin is. It's the kind of piece that can anchor an entire collection, a true centerpiece that collectors brag about for a lifetime. The doubling on the 1969's penny is also a reminder of the minting process itself. Dies are the steel punches that strike the coin design into blank plankets. In the 1960s, dies were created by impressing the master hub onto them multiple times. If the hub and die shifted slightly between impressions, doubling could occur. That's exactly what happened here. But instead of being a minor, barely noticeable error, the 1969's doubling was dramatic, bold, and unmistakable. A mistake turned into a masterpiece of rarity. Collectors often dream about what they would do if they found one. Would they keep it as a family heirloom, passing it down through generations as a story of luck and history? Or would they send it to auction, cashing in for $45,000, $50,000, or $60,000, and using the windfall for something life-changing? Either way, the discovery of a 1969's double-die penny is a moment of pure magic.